Hi, I'm jrhode. In this screencast, I'd like to quickly share with you the steps to creating a podcast feed using Google Feedburner. Here you can see I'm logged into feedburner.google.com, and you can see the various feeds that I have created here. The benefit in setting up a course podcast feed in Feedburner here is so that it's trackable. So here you can see, for example, my course podcast for EDT 6030. I have 24 subscribers currently to that podcast feed. And by going in to take a look at this feed, I can see a variety of other metrics, numbers of downloads, and so forth for a given period of time. So the analytics here are really helpful. The other reason I use Google Feedburner is once students subscribe to this feed, if at some point I should desire to change the location for where my XML file for my podcast feed sits. Currently I use Dropbox and have those hosted in Dropbox, but if I were to put them in some other location, all I have to do is go into my Feedburner account, and here you can see where I have the original feed located, this source file here. All I would have to do is change this location, hit Save Feed Details, and my subscribers, they would continue to receive the new content. So let me show you how easy it is to get started creating a feed. Simply, if you're back at your My Feeds list, there's an option to burn a feed this instant. And what I've done is, if you go into your Dropbox and you go to where you have your podcast, your XML file, which is the feed that you need, you go to that location, right click, and you can copy the public link. Now this is the link from within my public folder in Dropbox, and so I'm simply going to copy that to the clipboard, and now go back into Feedburner, and I'm going to paste in that URL. I'm going to check the box that says I am a podcaster, and Feedburner will walk me through entering some information about my feed. So I'm just gonna call this my test. And we'll put the letter A in front of it so it's at the top of my list. And then I can specify the address. I could shorten this up to be a custom URL. I can click the next button. Feedburner will then ask you if you want to do make a few more customizations here. So we'll go ahead and just walk through those steps. So this is where, if you haven't already put in the iTunes metadata within your podcast feed, you could enter that at this point. If you had an image for your the album art for your podcast, a subtitle, a summary, these are all of the iTunes specific metadata fields. So you can simply fill in as many of these as you can. Going on to next, you can also then go in and you can enable click-throughs, which would be if people clicked on a link. Not as important for podcasts, but this one really is, including enclosure downloads, item enclosure downloads. So you'd be able to see the number of downloads for your episodes, and this is really important. If you don't use Feedburner, you won't have this set of metrics, and you can also check this box as well. So I typically check all of these. Click next, and that's it. So now I have a public, I have a feed, and if I go back into, you can edit the details. You can see that here's my actual URL feeds.feedburner.com/ and then here's the rest of my feed. And so if I were to go ahead and put that in a browser, let me just go ahead and paste that in here, and we'll take a look at that and just see what it looks like. So what it does, the Feedburner version of your feed is a very clean, user-friendly version of the feed. So here's your title, there's my album art. It provides links, quick links for the users, my students, to subscribe in various podcatchers or directly in iTunes, and they can actually play any of the episodes directly from here as well. So Feedburner, again, is a great tool. I highly recommend it. This, just as we close up here, this link, this URL at the top, my Feedburner address, this is the URL that then I submit to iTunes as my podcast URL. I don't submit the source XML file. I actually use this Feedburner URL. Again, if I were to at some point down the road change the location for my podcast XML file, as long as I update it in Feedburner, my podcast will continue to work in iTunes.